Hello and welcome to the new tutorial from the SketchUpArchStudio. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can create some super realistic render in exterior design with Enscape. So before we start this tutorial, this is the complicated 3D model that I created with the components, and you can imagine some type of simple, tiny, small houses. 3 and 3 meter in the width and height, and another 3 meter in the length. So this is the some cell houses that now we can use in sustainable architecture. And now I want to show you how we can create some super realistic render from this residential complex in here. So I'm going to click on the Enscape environment, and I can move near to my project, and you can see the final detail in this part of my job, all the materials set by me before this tutorial. But we have some problem in these doors and wall and how we can fix it. So I'm going to show that how we can fix this job. So in the third floor, I'm going to minimize the Enscape in here, and I want to click on one of these components, select these door in here, and move it a little bit to the outside, about 1 centimeter. And now we have some much better detail in our 3D job and rendering. These small points can create some super realistic results in your job. Let's get to rendering. I'm going to maximize the Enscape in here and click on the view management at the left side and check out my parametric test number 1 in here. And this is my camera management. So I'm going to close it in this place. I'm going to turn on the save frame. So in these type of renderings, you don't have any type of environment, building, or cars, or other type of assets. You must check out your resolution. I'm going to click on the visual setting, output, change my resolution to the custom, and make my resolution a little bit smaller, something about this type of resolution, or maybe something like that. I can use some type of wide numbers for my resolution, so 9020 to 1200 can be really good, and my aspect ratio is about 1.6. So I'm going to change my file format to the JPG, and I'm going to start my job with the skybox. But before I do this job, I'm going to go to the main bar and reduce the field of view as I can. Some number like this, for example, or I can focus on my target much more to see the details. So I think some number about 18 degrees can be really good, but the problem is that I need a little bit of sky in my rendering. So how I can fix this job? I can press F, click on the edit camera in here, and play with the W, S, A, and D on my keyboard and move my camera position a little bit to the left side and a little bit to the upside, something like that. So I can fix my Y coordinate, and the Z is -13. So maybe something about this can be better. So it's about -14.6 and press save. So it takes a little bit time because our 3D model is really heavy. So I'm going to close it and fix it in this place. Come back to the visual setting. Field of view is good. So now I will turn off the auto exposure, increase my rendering quality to the high mode. And now I want to click on the sky option and change my background source to the white cubes. Something like that is much better. You can play with the resolution to change the background's topic. It completely depends on you. For example, maybe something like that can be normal, but sometimes you can add your own HDRi. It completely depends on you. For this type of job, I don't want to add any type of HDRi, but if you want to add it, you can click on the white cubes in here, change it on the skybox, click on the load HDRi, go to your file management, visual tools, HDRIs, And for example, I want to use Understage 8K and click on it and open it in my job. It's a little bit hard and heavy work for your graphic card, and it almost takes between 10 seconds to 20 seconds to load it in your Enscape environment. So something like that can be good for my job. I will increase the lux power of the HDRi from 2000 to the 10,000, or maybe it's a little bit artificial. 6,000 can be good. I can play with the rotation and rotate my view of it. For example, something like this can be realistic. It completely depends on you and what you want from your render. For example, something like that can be good. So I will change my rotation to the 30 degree and click on the atmosphere. So I will turn off the fog option completely because I need some sharp result. And I will play with the sun brightness, and you can see the effects in your screen. When I increase it, your screen will be burned, but we have these shadows in here. So it's about maybe 76%, and it's good. So night sky is not important, but shadow sharpness. Look at these places in my render. When I increase the shadow sharpness, I can see the details much clearer than the past, and it's really good. But for these type of jobs, 56% can be good and improvable. Artificial light brightness related to the balconies light, but we don't have any type of special light in here. Wind is completely 0, and ambient is not really important. In the image bar, I will use auto contrast, and color temperature can be a little bit colder than now. It's about 8,000 Kelvin. Saturation is about 99. Motion blur is 0. Bloom is 0. And lens flare is 0. So when I increase the bloom option, look at your render. As you can see, when I increase it in some number like 26 or maybe 32, and increase the lens flare immediately about 78, I can see some faded blurriness in center of my camera shot. So something about 54 and 12 can be good. Vignette is not important, and chromatic aberration is 0. In the main bar, we have the styles. So I can change it to the white mode and create some type of render like that, or I can change it to the polystyrol. We have another type of rendering which called light view. When I change it on the light view, you can see some type of LUX work with the Kelvin meter about 1100 to the 77,000. Red areas on your render shows that you have most sunlight and sun energy in here, and blue places is the shadows. So it works for some other type of student projects, but I prefer to use white render right now or non-render. Outline is some number about 6%, and auto exposure can be re-exposed about 51. Turn on the auto exposure, re-expose my scene again, about 58. I'm going to turn on the depth of field, and I don't want to see the background because my background is a little bit amateur. So I will turn on the focal point in here, play with the focal point, and reach to the focus distance that I want, someplace about the building's facade. So 41.30. And the depth of field is about 13%. So everything is good, and now I can render my job. So I will change it to the ultra, and I will close it. Click on the screenshot in here, add it to my desktop with some number about render 1, and press save. As you can see, the render is something like that. The result is completely realistic, but it can be better when you change your camera shot. So it's my first camera rendering, and now I will click on the visual setting, output, and change my resolution to some type of portrait resolution, something about 1600 like that, and orbit my view, something like this. Click on the 2-point perspective for angle perspectives, something like that. And now I will go a little bit near to my rendering setup, like this. Click on the visual setting and decrease the field of view as I can. But be careful when you do this job, because it's a little bit sensitive situation in your camera and your render, and sometimes you must play with your camera much more than the past. In the sky, we don't have any type of extra options, and now time for the rendering. So I have another rendering here, and I will save it by the portrait render on my desktop, and the final result is something like this. If this tutorial is useful for you, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and this is the final result that we have in here. Render number 1 and render number 2 in here. Thanks for watching and goodbye.